Ah! Hi everybody, my name is Jessica Holyfield. I'm a professional dance choreographer and dance educator based out of the southeast of the United States. And we're taking a look at ATEEZ's Guerrilla dance practice. This is a fixed version. I always love being able to see just the choreography in and of itself so I can appreciate the artistry and a lot of choices that were made within the track. And I do plan on hopefully reacting to all of the music videos in order after I finish my marathon with ATEEZ, because that's what this is. And I'm very excited about it. I did hear, because I've been trying to actively at least half of the members. One of my patrons did a fabulous job of telling me how to pick out each member in hopes that maybe I'll get at least 5 of them in a future dance practice. 5, not all 5, like all 8, but at least 5 is kind of my goal for them here. I think it's a very safe goal in mind. But the fun thing is they're all wearing black, so it makes it a lot harder. So they did a good job they gave me a little list and I wrote it down just so I can figure out, at least, it's not really going to be a guess as much as it is going to be just trying to memorize their overall essence and presence. So maybe in a future dance practice, I'll be able to catch them without needing a clothing item to help. So without further ado, let's go ahead and check it out. This looks at the same studio that XG films at. It's what it looks like. Hey! I like that. Oh, I love that. I'm gonna tell you right now, I think I recognize one of them. I think that's Yoonho, who I just saw that had that first feature. My Where's Yoonho is so going off a lot more. I found him a lot more. That's just Jongho right here. Woo! The refinement is so nice. Yee! I always I love when they do the peel outs from the sides. It's just a really fun thing that BB Trippin puts in their stuff that I like. There's those pants I own again. Yes. Eee! Yeesh. Yep. That's Sans, because I was told he wears beanies a lot more than everybody else. That's Youngho. I have confidence now. That's a Youngho. Stiffness of movement. Yeah. Ah! Woo! Yes! Do this! Woo! Ah, this has a lot of overwhelmment that can come with. Oh, sheesh, that was sick. Good God, that was awesome. This is probably one of my favorite ones I've seen so far from ATEEZ in general. Honestly, I think as of right now, I haven't seen a lot of their other ones, so I've seen Crazy for him, but I haven't seen other ones. I think this one's my favorite in terms of synchronicity to individuality conversion. This one right here. Freaking sick. Let's tackle it. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and tell you my list. So I think Yoonho, yeah, I'm gonna get a little star. I get a little star for that one. Yes, I found him. San, I found him pretty easily. Jongho, I found him. Now the other ones, I think Mingi, I had an idea of who he was, but it was his tone, not his outfit or his face that I found. So we're gonna go through, and it's gonna be a little longer because I have my list. I want to make sure that I'm calibrating my brain to what to look for with some of these guys. Okay. From the top here, I freaking love this. This is a really great way of showcasing what they're good at, is a lot of the interruptions or the vibrations or reverbs that they put in their stuff. It goes that like that, ba-da-da-da. They do it so well, and it's very crisp now. You could tell that this is a huge refinement from what we saw in their earlier eras in particular. And I think part of that stems from them working with a particular choreography team for as long as they have. That's something that I think that worked with XG, is just their fluency of working for as long as they have together, because I'm doing the documentary, so I'm very aware of how long they've been in their project before they debuted as a group. So it makes sense why they came out the gate as in sync as they were, because a lot of their aesthetics that they grew up in was definitely along those lines of their tracks. So here, this was really nice to see, and you can tell this is probably I forgot what year this was. It's been a hot minute that they've been dancing together or they've been working together. So there's a lot of overlap in how cohesive they are as a group now in comparison to in the past. So that's really nice to see. This is San right here. I love he drops down, and then having the peekaboo through with the frame. Now the track is a bit tricky to hear in this one in comparison to if I put an audio overlay, I'd obviously hear it a lot more. You can hear their steps and you can hear a lot of that more. So I may focus more on the movement than the musicality, because I can't hear the musicality as much. But I know eventually if I take a look at the music video, I may be able to appreciate the song more. But this sounds freaking sick. I love the doo-doo. I love the doo-doo with the accents of the heads was nice. Going through do-do-do-do. Look, so Youngho, his movement quality is what made me catch him. From here, when he hits out, he doesn't utilize his chest as much as everybody else does. It could be because of height, because of other circumstances, that's whatever. And that's something that for me, everybody else has that little dip of the rock. He doesn't rock, he leans, and there's a difference between you lean into a position and you rock into a position. There's more power behind it. So that would be my overall note for Youngho. No, not Youngho, Yoonho. I combined Jungho's name and Yoonho's name to make Youngho. Sorry, Yoonho. There we go. Now that I have most of them here. All right, so we have Hongjun has a hat and a jacket. This feels like he has a hat and a jacket. I think this is Hongjun, and he also gives off that kind of expression sometimes in some of his dance practices. Okay. Tank and Shredded, this is Mingi right here. Woo Young, baseball hat with rolled up sleeves. Who has a baseball? Maybe he's not, I don't think he may be back there in that back. We'll see him. We'll see him in a second. I don't see him around here. Songhwa. Songhwa is an overshirt with baggy pants. Who has an overshirt with a baggy pants? But it's not a button up. Oh yeah. Overshirt with baggy pants. I think this is, that is Songhwa. That look pretty baggy. Yeol-sung has a bucket hat. We don't see Yeol-sung in this. He's one of these two guys. All right, cool. So maybe when they're all together, I'll be able to make a better choice. Here we go. Love it though. Da 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 da. Notice everybody's energy in the rock is, the range is the same. Even though I said that with Yoonho that his rock is a little bit off. And a lot of the range of the movement is the same. It's the texture and how he does it, or the posture in which he does it, that looks different. So I want you to know that you can still be in sync, but still showcase your own individual texture shifts. I like that boom here, and then that doo-doo-doo, really like that. And I love how that power and the pop-up in the back was really cool, having that add-on bleeding up. I love the cane, that's super fun. So yeah, I think off of facial expression, this is Hongjun. No, boom, boom, and they swung it through. I really like that power there to go into something more refined as they reset it back up. Doon, doon, here, bucket hat, found a bucket hat, and that means this person is Yeol-sung. But Yeol-sung's wearing a bucket hat, so it is hard to see what kind of hair he has. Also, his movement quality I haven't quite studied yet, so maybe we'll learn that throughout this routine. Notice right here we have Mingi. his range of his arm is presenting more to the diagonal versus up and projected to the front. So that would be my note to him. His is more diagonal, which is why it looks off. It would be more up towards the front, but I know there's somebody behind them that's also doing the same thing as him. And that's kind of what happens whenever you clean choreography and you don't have somebody setting out to look at it as a big picture. If you're going off of who's next to you, that's why sometimes you'll have multiple people that are right next to each other make similar choices, even though it may be a little off from everybody else. So that's just my little note there. The little doo-doo-doo. Notice with the head there, that doo-doo. I love this right here. Doo-doo-doo, doo-doo-doo. Ooh, it shook the camera because I was trying to do it. Here, it was more of like that. It was like a Harlem Shake influence of the upper body, and the lower body, they were more moving their, I forgot what it's called, but using the knees like, not like I wouldn't call it a clamshell or anything like that, but it's definitely, not a Billy bounce, but it's like in that same vein or family is what I would call that. Oh, why can't I remember it? I love that do-do-do, do-do-do, but notice how Yeosang does it. Yep, Yeosang. Notice how Yeosang does it in comparison to Mingi. They do it slightly different, I would say. You just see one of them chooses his head, like Mingi uses his head ISO more, and then you have Yeosang, he chooses to use more of his body to hit within it. So that would be my note of refinement. Because you have Mingi using his head more, he has a different back posture within the movement in comparison to those around him. Bringing it down, boom, I love that, having the swing through, but notice not everybody. You have Yeosang, his range is a little off, is a little bit too high. He's adding too much, not tension, but he's adding too much breath within the move in comparison to everybody else swinging it down in a faster range. I love that lean down here. Notice how they're holding the commitment of the hold. He's not quite giving as much give. My guy right here dipping back because of who his partners are possibly. But notice that his arm, he doesn't have his arm coming up. This is definitely what that ideal, this is for those who have covered this, or if you want to cover this and you have a group, this would be the ideal way to do this in comparison to this side. This side, the arm was a little off and he wasn't quite committed in the hinge to really dip back, if that makes sense. But I love this right here, the complementary between, I believe this is Hongjun with San is what I think this is right here. Yeah. Hitting it over, da-da-da, and then they walk, and up. That, right, I love that part. That the commitment is really impressive, and I like that. And you see that throughout the entire track, and that's what I like, because you don't just see it once, you see it done multiple times, so it shows that they're fluent and familiar and intentional with the move. And I love the framing to the outside, having your dancers in the back in white. I'm always a fan of the contrast of colors because it's really easy to see who your performers are. Even if this was the first time I was watching, in comparison to if this is my 50th time watching this, it is nice to have clarity of who is our performers and who is our dancers, because the expectation is slightly different on the dance side depending on if they're live or in the studio. So here, it is nice to see everybody really commit facially, but notice that everybody's arms are up, with the exception of Mingi's. So that could stem from the fact he doesn't really quite use his back or have any sense of legato through his back and putting tension or using his upper body or shoulders specifically. So that would be my note to him to refine that. I love the usage of levels, turning it around. This right here, this is Yoonho. No. This isn't, dude, don't tell me I've been wrong this whole time. No, that's Yoonho, for sure. He's definitely one of the taller members. Yeah, because he dances similarly to how I've caught him before. This guy, I was looking, because I thought his shirt was rolled up, and one of my Patreon said that to look for the one with the rolled up baseball cap with rolled up sleeves. Woo Young is right here. That's Woo Young, because his sleeves are up. He's wearing a regular t-shirt. San's wearing t-shirt jeans with and then this is Mingi because of the and so Woo Young, this is Woo Young, because the bucket hat is Yeosang, and because you notice he pokes his head out instead of using his body to commit, you could just tell the difference in the usage of the core right here, which is why they look subtly different. Yeah, okay. And then here, baggy t-shirt with baggy, overshirt with baggy pants. Songhwa, maybe. Yeah, Well, we'll see. We'll see how the fabric moves because I can't tell if it's, yeah, that is. Yeah, that is Songhwa right here. I like Songhwa's hair, honestly. I think that's a good look for him. Okay, now moving forward from here, I love that they all have that little moment and then they transition, having that bleed around. Now we have San. They all go to the back, which I really like. New reveal. This is Yeolsang. No, it's not Yeolsang. Bless it. Songhwa. This is Songhwa. I do remember saying because of what I think he was wearing a hat at the time that I thought this was Yoonho, but it is not. This is Songhwa. They present forward. I do like having the dancers bleed, like push their energy to the bottom and then having Songhwa use more of a blade. I do feel like we could have, if everybody did the blades or everybody did the fists, I think that would have been a tad bit more cohesive in the choice of the framing, but I do like the choice nonetheless though. And they go in, boom, and I love the rock to the outside. And the contrast of colors is what showcases and makes Songhwa stand out. But now if they were all wearing different things, then maybe I would want there to be something a little different. But notice he's also still, or he's more linear to the front and facing front, and everyone's facing away. Jongho, Mr. High Note, presenting forward. I do know he's going off of an injury, like a chronic injury over the years, and I really noticed it in Eternal Sunshine, but he is way more in sync with the members in this one, so I feel like maybe he's in that in between, not quite in a lot of pain, but probably just tolerating it or figuring out how to work with it, I guess is my note. No, should you have to? No, but that's my note. Okay, boom, 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 bringing it around. That little nice, the break apart right there in that moment. Who is that? Baseball cap, rolled up sleeve. That's Woo Young. Right here, who did that. It was great in personality. I like that. Boom, have this boom, which I really like here. The build up right there. Range, this is really hard to get the range right on a lot of these throws because you have to use your back to really shoot it out in the timing that they give. This is freaking hard to get the timing right on this. You don't have to hear the chalk to know that. So if you look here, yeah, boom, tension right there into the next bit right here. Yeah, then bringing it around to the front, immediately going into another side, dipping it around over into really big in the motion. I would say I would catch my guy in the back. He's a little bit more subtle in his movement in that little section, but I really like the power from the front specifically. I love that. Really love seeing that. I do feel like if we had a different level there, and it goes up. Yeah, melt through, boom, boom. I think that was more of an individualized choice versus in sync because they were in sync before and after, which is why I think that was an individual choice. That right there was really nice. Everybody drops down, but I think everyone needs to make sure that their arms are down in order for his arms to look strikingly different. So I would say these would be the ideal, what you would need to be to make this section in sync. If you're learning this choreography, I would go off of these two guys if you're going to not be your feature. So that's my note there. If he was lower, boom, boom, I think that would have read better, but I like that. I like that dive through, boom, There's a lot of tension that Sun carries whenever he moves his body forward. So I would say learning how to have more relaxed transition with his upper body would be really helpful here. Love this. Building it in. Everybody using the chest, which really helps keep it in sync with everyone because they're filling up the space between the grooves at the same time, which works really well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We are still missing one, so I can't do like a full boom, 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 boom right here. Really nice. Which is good. I do think Jongho, he didn't quite extend his range in his arms as much as he could have there, but it was still a major improvement from the last one. That little boom. I love with the head initiated the direction for that, which really helped make it look more complex because it was more complex because you weren't looking in the technical direction that you were going, or you were allowing the head throw to take you where you needed to go, but you used other facets of your range to justify the synchronicity even if your head was going to be off there. So I like that. There, bringing it up, boom. Up, boom, da-dum. This is going to be a freaking exhausting piece. When I normally put a poll out for Patreon, this is going to be one of those that are put on there. I put all of them on there. People vote. If this one gets chosen, it is going to be pretty tricky on my body to do. It's going to take me longer than it took me to do some other choreographies. Because it's just getting it right or getting the strength behind it, and I don't know how much stamina I will have to be able to refine it in one day. I may have to make it 2 days. We'll see. But honestly, I really like the choreo here. The unison is really nice, and they do have these pops of energy that happen that keeps it captivating. There's a lot of this happening in a good way in the dynamics of this piece. The punch right there, boom, da-da-dum. Love that, but notice my guy right here. He's more, I think that's a very safe to say that is Yoonho, because you can tell that he's not using his core or like curving his core the same way as most people are. Could be because of just figuring out calibration of his height. Love the energy, how he brings it forward. Love that. Nope, not Songhwa. That is Wooyoung. Wooyoung right here. I have a feeling I'm going to get Songhwa and Wooyoung mixed up. But I do have another guide for the next one I'm going to look at. They're wearing very different things, so maybe that'll help me in the future with the ones that I'm still a little tripped up about. Okay, so I love that the roll through, bringing it up, but notice not everybody dropped their hands at the same time, so refinement on the synchronicity there. Love the interruption, love it, matched the music brilliantly. I am excited to hear this track with the music video. I think that'll be really cool with the throw, love that. Building the energy, bringing it through. I love that energy. Here, notice that he really invested with his lower body in comparison to everybody else. And because he's in the center, it doesn't bother me as much. Now, if he was like hanging out over here in this back corner and I saw it, then everybody would need to match that same energy, or he would need to refine it to match everybody else. But because he's in the center, that's why it works. And this is Yeolsang. And typically whenever I see that kind of groove, I would expect San to be the one that's out of place on it, but I think that was an active choice that Yeolsang made to make it appear, and it actually maintained him as a feature very well and very effectively, which was cool. So I like that. Having your dancers in the back, which is really nice. He's the only one that did one. Everybody else did two. Look at this. This is a freaking finger wave that they're deciding to do. God bless. Honestly, it's little things like that of what makes it a little bit trickier than other choreographies you would see of the similar style, because when you have, it's a polyrhythm of kind of leaning to one side after doing such full power and then immediately taking your hand that used to be in a fist to blade, or you're throwing it and you're not really thinking about it, back to here, and you have to refine a finger wave. It's pretty tricky. Like if you're not used to separating your fingers or being able to move them up or down in isolation, so like if you're not able to move your finger without other fingers being influenced, that kind of stuff is a lot trickier for you. It's still tricky for me in some degree, because I've been having to practice going from big to little in my waves, because that's still a really big thing for me, is getting through the knuckle section when I bring into my entrance waves personally. So that's teeters more into the stuff that I train in, is that stuff. So I understand the difficulty of integrating something that's small and impactful with confidence, like they were introducing the other sections of their course. That was a nice right there. This is Mingi. I do like how they all ran away. Bye. And then we have him here, right there, boom, 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 boom. Nice that the dancers were able to justify the sounds the way that ATEEZ did too. It makes it all cohesive, which I really like, because sometimes you would have your performers be different than your dancers, and it's really nice when both work together, because it makes it feel more, communal, and it feels like everybody's on the same team. And it needs to be a full package and a full picture, not just, oh, the dancers are extras. It shouldn't feel that way, and they're doing a good job of not making them feel that way. I love that boom, love that. Go around, he goes and he hits through. Notice he's not really using his upper body as much and in the investment of the grooves, but it still works because he's by himself, so it's fine. And he drops down. I love this. They all come up. Love that dun. Some of the refinement was just a bit off there, but nothing crazy. I love they have their own energy, but notice that my second line, they're a little off. So I would have, based on how this looks, I would even say that Mingi is just a tad bit off. He needs to scoot in. It's about right here. But it really just depends on who gets to their spot. They can't see him, but he can see them. So he would need to make the adjustment to be right here. And then these two guys go off of Mingi, so they would need to adjust off of him. And this guy needs to scoot out. And I think I would prefer that bigger frame right here than it being a little more clumped, because you can clearly see the, like, what you're going for. I think that would have read a little bit better. So that's just a formation adjustment. I love that transition. And because they were off on the spacing, which is why it looks off here. It's just smaller though. Like they were able to correct it, but it was still just a tad bit smaller. I push through. He's the only one that stays up. Everybody else goes up and hits, but not everybody hit with the arm. My guy in the back did not use his arm, so that would be my note to him. Make sure you use the arm there, so everybody matches. Diving through, boom, boom. I do feel like his arms could have done something different to complement what they were doing to get up, but it does look like it was their own expression in how they were choosing to get up. That was nice, where he does one arm to the side, everybody does two to frame him well, which I like. Digging through, push and push. I love that. Some of them are crossing over in the push and some are going in the center, so that would be a refinement because the range will be off if somebody's starting from across and someone's starting from here. It's small, but it does make a difference because I noticed it from my guy right here compared to my guy right here, and because they're right next to Mingi. Well, honestly, just go off of what the performer decides to do for that if you just need a clarification, because that's calibrating to your guy. But he doesn't do that part. He just does something that hits here, so it's totally fine. He picks it up and he pulls. I love how he just used that to still recognize the track even though he's going off stage. So I like that. They melt down. I love this, and we have a utilization of different levels. We have some guys over here a little bit taller, some are a little bit shorter, like in the sense of like the level justification. I love that. And we're bringing it here and we're melting and we're creating different visuals of levels. And they're complementary, so it goes from the side and then they teeter in the middle, and then they have like every other peeping up from that, and everyone's making their commitment to diving into their formation better. And I love that. Boom. He also does this the way that Mingi did to come off stage, and I really like that because it tailors this to what just happened with Mingi, and it feels like we're connecting the dots, and I like that. This was really nice, that bleed through to allow that space of just creating an ebb and a flow, having your feature, I believe that's on. Comes up. I love having the patience from him because normally he used to be a loose cannon, and he probably still is, but he's just more of he has better aim of his loose cannon-ness. So it's still really nice to see. So who is he's wearing an overshirt, baggy pants, Songhwa. So this is Songhwa coming up. He doesn't have a hat on. Diving it down. I'm trying to look at his face. I like the HD of this too so that I can actually see their faces this time. Their earlier stuff was really hard to catch their face, so I had to go off of other elements like hair, but now hair's out the window. I like the buildup of the energy as they pull through and bring it around. Sliding through Jungho's there, building back up the energy, having our guys, instead of being straight back, they're now subtly framing, which I really like. Good choice. Diving it through, do. I think I noticed San came up a little bit too quickly. But then having one of them have register that little sound was him. Could be because of a music video or something. That's what he does. I don't quite know because I haven't seen it yet, but I will eventually. But by him doing that little feature, notice his arms are slightly a little bit lower than everybody else's. So that would just be my note to him to modify what he does here so he can get up and range a little bit faster to match everybody. Now this part doesn't feel as clean as the very first course. Could be because of there's more bodies. It's harder to really see their range of their arms, but the energy, I could tell they're really pushing with that energy, which I really love. I like this section, like that little do, that whole little tidbit was good both times. Like it was clean both times. So I really like that part with San. Now San went went up instead of down, what we saw from our previous guy. So I really do like that choice. Digging it through, really great way to travel. This has to be Yunho because of how he's pushing his rock forward. Yep, dun. I like that, do. And notice too, he doesn't sink deeper. He actually resets to neutral when he does those things. And that's another thing too, his body's still not fluent in how to sit in some of these pockets. He's not really sitting in the pocket that much. He's kind of dancing on top of it. And that's why it's really easy to see where he is based on his movement quality. I love that energy. Boom. Da. Now, he has rolled up sleeves. This is Wu Yang right here. I'm going to memorize the face. Gosh. Faces are harder. Because they all, because their expressions change, or they don't do certain, like sometimes they do certain expressions that are really easy to catch. I would say Hongjun does a good job with replicating certain expressions throughout the era, so it is a little bit easier to go off of him. Mingi is mostly a voice thing for me. San is his movement quality. Yunho now is his movement quality. Junho is when he stands still to have his moment to sing a high note, and he wears his hair a certain way every time. But it's going to be, the tricky ones are going to be Yosang, Songhwa, and Wu Yang, I think. Now, that's the ones that they're new to my list of my scavenger hunt of members. I think they're going to be the trickiest ones for me moving forward. But it's still really fun though. Da-da-da, ba-da-da. I like the pull, but notice right back here, he was doing a little bit. He is, he's wearing an overshirt and a hat. So he has to be Songhwa. No, Songhwa doesn't have a hat on. Oh my gosh. No, that's Hongjun. That's Hongjun right here. Boom, he was a little bit off on the range, all that to say. Notice that his arms aren't quite built up. His head's also facing front instead of up. I would say Jungho's also doing the same thing. That goes back to when you clean, look who's next to each other. They're making similar choices because they're right next to each other. I say that out of empathy for whenever I'm in pieces. That's really hard for me. Like, I can only go off of the peripherals of the people next to me, not from the whole group. I have to step out to look at the whole thing to make sure we're all doing the same thing. So that's why I really noticed that. Now, right here, this is the overshirt and baggy pants Songhwa. Yes, and I love it. They built it forward, diving it back, really great to reveal Jungho. This right here, notice that they're trying to build motivation because we're nearly in that tail end, and it gets hard. Like the breakdown, the fatigue will really set in near that ending, and they have to push through and pull through, and which I think they very much do, and I love the motivation they give each other. Let's build dun da da dun dun. Yep, and building through range. It just could be refined. Mingi really didn't commit to that arm, that throw. You can tell he's getting tired. Yep. So bucket hat is the same people. I keep forgetting Yeolsan. Yeolsan's bucket hat here. Okay. Cool. Building it through. They're still doing a good job. One of them has the arm up, still showcasing feature. Also, this is a really great example. Some people are looking at their hands, some people are not. This looks similar to what they did in their pre-debut. I think it was their third one. It was with Mike Delavella and Melvin Tim. It was a certain setup like this. Not the same thing, but similar. I'm going to give similar notes. Where you set up, some people have more of that pull in the claw. Some have a fist. Some have a flat hand. Some have weaker fingers. When you're doing details like this, that kind of stuff matters because you want everybody to have the same angle, but notice not everybody has the same angle. Some's got acute, obtuse, and some got the right. So I would say because he's our feature, that would be who you need to go off of because he has a harder thing to do, and also into the fingers. Because if you want this to be showcased, you have to make sure this part's in check. If you're here, if you're here, if you're here. So honestly, this is the cleanest out of everything is the fingers rest right underneath the elbow. That looks fine. But also if you struggle with the fingers, then I would go here with the fez. Honestly, I would fold it down and I would have this moment right here. It just looks a lot cleaner that way and you don't have to think about the fingers. But to each their own. Going to the straight line, I love that where they all look to the side, really great choice. And then San comes out, boom, has his moment. You notice too, whenever he uses a lot of power, he's not as stable. So you could tell he takes a couple extra steps. Okay, somebody said that whoever does this kind of partner work with San is most likely Woo Young. Like, if that's a thing. So when in doubt, if I can't find Woo Young, I just find a partner moment with San. And if I find San, I find Woo Young. Look at me. I'm really trying over here. So this is Woo Young. Even if he was wearing a freaking onesie, whatever, that's Woo Young because he's doing a partner something with San. Okay, I like how they all bled down to have that moment. It was easier to see the moment because the people in front were lower in the level. Now San goes out the other side. I love that. This was really cool to have a nice reveal of Jungho. High note mode, boom, you can see his posture. It's that angsty pull of the high notes he's about to go off of. Then from here, we have our moments here. This is our regular outfit. Regular outfit with a ball cap. This has to be I'm like doubting myself a little bit. So this is Mingi. Yes. He's my other tallest member. He's right up there. That has to be Yunho. Yep. Pulling them back. I love that. They could have really pulled a little bit more on that. Really made him fight for it a little bit more, but I didn't mind it. Yunho, watch. He's more stiffer in the chest still. And he keeps it very internal, like his movements. You can tell he's not using his back there, and it translates into his overall posture. Torso. Jungho's having his moment. Here we go in the center. Woo! And he looks up. Ah! High note from Junho. Here we go. And they're about to go. They're about to pop off, kind of doing their own thing. I love the smile of we're about to do this. Here we go. Yeah. Boom. Now we can't really hear what's going on the track. Now this right here, I love the energy that they're trying to do. You can tell that the goal was just to get through the choreo with as much power as possible, not as much in sync. So that's why I'm going to give them a pass for that, because the power of the ending, they're really trying to affect with performance and presence over synchronicity is what this is going off of. But you have Yunho in the center. So my suggestion for what he needs to do with the movement is he needs to, his stance is fine, but I do feel like he's not using his pelvis in the sense of like tucking it under for some of these grooves. It's not as effective. Also note here, some people have that hyperextension of the fingers, and you can tell based on whenever they shoot the arm out, you have that kind of motion right there. And some are even using fists, so that would just be something to fix. I love that motion right there where he pulls it with a nice little glide variant. That was really fun. I would just make that glide a little bit smoother and connected, because right now it felt a little choppy. So connecting the glide would have really made that illusion more justified. But I love this pull. That was cool. Love that dropping it down. We have one of our guys. He didn't quite go all the way down, or he came up a little bit earlier, Mr. Bucket Hat Yulsung. So complete through, boom, and over. Look, Mr. High Note, instead of going up, he's going down. Very interesting, because a lot of times that's going to be more restrictive in your lung capacity when you sing. So that was an interesting choice. I love having this to bringing it up still, boom. Yeah, it makes sense why they're going with the pocket they are, because the term gorilla is more animalistic, right? So they're taking this kind of crump posture a little bit more throughout, but that's not the only thing exclusive to this, which is why San, it looks like San's more in his element here, because I do know he pursued crump more than anybody else, to my knowledge. I love that pull. Mingi is still, I would say my tall guys, so it would be Mingi and Yoonho, the same note for them. They're locking up their upper back. So what would be my suggestion for them? I think I already said, like, learning to, I think, because I'm not really tall. I'm 5'4", right? So I am really not that tall compared to them. Say for them, so whenever I have taller, I'll put this, when I have taller dancers, I give them the same note. You have to, because of probably how they grew up, their body is locked into a particular posture or way of working mechanically, and so a note for one dancer maybe needs to be modified for them because they're taller, and so in order for them to match the same level of energy, they have to engage with the same part of their body, but they're not used to doing that compared to other people, which is why they have a more stiffer appearance of the upper back. So I think that's just my overall note with them. And they had it, so I caught it the first time, so let's go back and appreciate this little section right here. I love when they just completely did this little peel around with their dancers. It was really fun. It went wee over here. It was wild when I watched it the first time. It was cool. Da-da-da. Boom, and they dip it down. Boom, almost done, and then they twist to go down. So they don't just drop, they like do a whole little 360. I love that, and they finish with the reverb. And they finish that doo-doo boom. I love that. That doo-doo, doo-doo boom. I love the musicality to finish at the end. And notice that they are, that's like, good God, that was a lot on us. It's really what that gave off. But they did very well. This is probably, so far, definitely top 3 best dance practices from ATEEZ for sure. It's in the top 2 right now for me in this point in time. So this was freaking great. And I think I did a good job of finding everybody because I had wonderful description. So maybe the next one will be, next one's going to be a lot easier because they're wearing obviously different stuff. But I think I pretty much pinpointed everybody. I'm going to see what they look like and differences between this one and the next one. So it's going to be super fun.